The dust-choked wind slapped my face like a betrayal as the horse beneath me bucked wildly, its hooves pounding the earth like thunderclaps from a storm I never saw coming. I was Carter Hayes, 28 years old, fresh off a corporate cubicle in Chicago, thinking a Wyoming ranch would fix the hollow ache in my chest from years of hiding who I was. But in that split second, as the world tilted and my grip slipped, I locked eyes with him, Ridge Harlan, the cowboy whose steady hands would soon unravel every secret I'd buried deep. The fall came hard, ribs cracking against sun-baked dirt, pain exploding like fireworks in my lungs. I gasped, tasting blood and regret, while the ranch hands shouted from afar. Ridge was there in a blur, his boots thudding close, strong arms scooping me up as if I weighed nothing. "Easy now, city boy," he murmured, voice rough as gravel but laced with something softer, his calloused fingers brushing my cheek to wipe away the grit. In that touch, electric and uninvited, I felt the first crack in my armored heart, a spark that whispered this trip wasn't about horses at all. I woke to the scent of leather and pine, my body a map of bruises on a narrow cot in the ranch bunkhouse. Sunlight slanted through warped wooden slats, painting stripes across the plank floor. My head throbbed, but it was the memory of those hands, Ridge's hands, that made my pulse race. Firm, scarred from reins and ropes, yet gentle in their hold. I sat up too fast, wincing, and there he was, leaning in the doorway like a sentinel carved from the Rockies themselves. 35, broad-shouldered, with faded denim hugging his frame and a Stetson tipped low over eyes the color of a summer sky after rain. "You gave Old Thunder a run for his money," he said, a half-smile tugging at his lips, revealing a dimple that shouldn't have existed on a man so rugged. "But next time, listen to the horse, not your ego." I laughed, sharp and pained, rubbing my side. "Ego? I came here to escape that. Chicago's full of its soots and secrets." The word slipped out, heavier than intended, carrying the weight of boardrooms where I'd smiled through mergers while my boyfriend of 5 years ghosted me for a promotion. Ridge's gaze sharpened, seeing too much, and he stepped inside, handing me a tin mug of black coffee steaming with bitter promise. "Ranch life's simpler. Horses don't lie. People. Well, that's the trick." His fingers grazed mine as he passed the mug, a jolt that lingered like whiskey on the tongue. I sipped, burning my lip, and wondered if he felt it to the pull, forbidden and fierce, in a place where men like us learned early to keep their truths saddled tight. By midday, I was back in the saddle, stubborn as the mare they gave me, this time gentler, named Willow. Ridge rode beside me on his stallion, Blaze, a beast of midnight black that matched the shadows in his eyes. The Wyoming plains stretched endless, golden waves of grass under a sky so vast it swallowed secrets whole. "Loosen your hips," he called over the wind, his voice cutting through like a lasso. "Feel the rhythm, Carter. It's not about control, it's surrender." I flushed, the double meaning hitting like a spur, and gripped the reins tighter. But he was right. When I let go, just a fraction, Willow flowed beneath me, and for the first time in years, so did I. We crested a hill overlooking the Harlan Ranch, smoke curling from the chimney of the main house where Ridge lived alone since his pa passed last winter. "Family land," he said quietly, reining in. Keeps me grounded. What about you? What chased a city slicker out here? I hesitated, the hook of his question reeling me in. A breakup. And me. Hiding in plain sight gets old. The admission hung between us, raw as an open wound. Ridge nodded. Slow, his jaw tightening under the stubble. I know about hiding. Grew up in these hills thinking love was for storybooks. Turns out, it's messy, eh? He spurred Blaze forward, but not before his knee brushed a deliberate graze that sent heat coiling low in my belly. That night, around the fire pit with the other Hansronecks swapping tales of lost calves and bar fights, I stole glances at him. His laugh boomed when Jed told of a stampede, but his eyes found mine across the flames, holding just long enough to ignite something dangerous. Days blurred into a rhythm of dawn rides and dusk repairs, my body hardening under the sun, muscles aching in ways that felt alive. Ridge taught me more than horsemanship. He showed me the lands pulsed the way a horse's flank rose with breath, the silent language of wind through sagebrush. One afternoon, mending a fence line barbed with rust, our hands collided over a post, his palm rough against my smoother one. Time stuttered. Your touch, I whispered, heart hammering. It's like the reins guiding without force. He froze, breath hitching, then pulled back, eyes stormy. Carter, this ain't the city. Folks here, they talk, and I've got scars enough. But he didn't move away, and when thunder rumbled distant, we raced back to the barn, rain lashing like accusations. Soaked to the bone, we stood in the dim stable, horses nickering softly. Water dripped from his hat, tracing paths down his neck into the collar of his flannel, unbuttoned just enough to reveal the tattoo, a coiled rope over his heart, symbol of binds he couldn't escape. Why'd you really come here? He asked, voice low, stepping closer until the space between us hummed with unspoken want. I swallowed, the air thick as honey. To learn. To breathe. To find someone who sees me. His hand lifted, hesitating, then cupped my jaw, thumb tracing my lip with a tenderness that shattered me. Our mouths met in a clash of need and storm, his lips tasting of rain and resolve, body pressing mine against the rough wood wall. It was fire, his hands mapping my waist, pulling me flush, a groan escaping him that echoed my own. But as lightning cracked outside, reality intruded. A truck engine growled in the yard, headlights piercing the gloom. We broke apart, panting, his forehead to mine. Not like this, he rasped. Not hidden. The next week tested us like a Mustang unbroken. Whispers spread Jed's sideways glances, the cook's knowing smirk fueling Ridge's retreat into silence. I pushed harder in lessons, frustration boiling over when Willow shied at a snake, throwing me into thorns that tore my shirt and skin. Ridge hauled me up, fury in his eyes. Damn it, Carter, you're gonna get yourself killed chasing ghosts. We argued in the tack room, voices rising like the wind. Ghosts. You're the one running. I shot back, shoving his chest. He caught my wrists, pinning me, breath mingling hot. Because I lost everything once of me, brother. to a hate-fueled wreck after he came out. Pa blamed the lifestyle. I won't let that touch you. The confession cracked him open. Vulnerability raw as the scars on his knuckles. I pulled him down, kissing away the pain. Our bodies entwining slow and desperate on the hay-strewn floor. Clothes shedding like old skins. In his arms, I found home, not the ranch, but the man who held me like a promise. Yet the storm wasn't done. Town gossip reached the ranch like poison in the well, old Harlan's secrets unearthed. Ridge's paws were contested by a cousin sniffing inheritance, dredging up tales of deviance to discredit him. I stood by him in the lawyer's dusty office in Cheyenne, hand brushing his under the table. A silent vow. But doubt crept in me. Flight back to Chicago loomed in 2 weeks. A job waiting. A life of half-truths. One night, under stars blanketing the valley like diamonds on black velvet, we lay on a blanket by the creek, his head on my chest. Stay? He murmured, fingers tracing lazy circles on my skin. Build this with me. Tears pricked my eyes, the weight of choice crushing. I want to. God. Ridge. I do. But fear's a hell of a bridle. The climax hit like a flash flood. During a cattle drive across swollen rivers, lightning spooked the herd into chaos, hooves thundering, riders scattering. I spurred Willow into the fray, lassoing a stray calf. But a rogue bull charged, horns glinting menace. Ridge shouted, diving from Blaze to shove me clear, taking the gore himself, torn flesh, blood soaking his shirt. Panic clawed me as I dragged him to safety, pressing my bandana to the wound, whispering prayers to a god I'd long doubted. Don't you dare leave me. I choked, tears mixing with mud. He grinned through the pain. Weak but wicked. Told you. Surrender. The vet stitched him under lantern light, the ranch holding breath. And in that vigil, I chose resigning my job via crackling phone, roots sinking deep into Wyoming soil. Recovery wove us tighter. Days of quiet nursing in his cabin, where walls held ghosts, but our laughter chased them. He healed slow, but so did with talking pasts. Futures. The queer hearts we'd guarded. One evening, as fall painted aspens gold, we rode double on Blaze to the hilltop overlook. Marry me, Carter, he said. Not a question, but a brand. Ring fashioned from twisted silver wire glinting in his palm. Laughter bubbled from me. Joy pure as spring water. Yes. 1,000 times. Our kiss sealed it. The land witnessing. No shadows left to hide. In the end, the ranch thrived, not just cattle and crops, but a haven. We opened lessons for city folks seeking more than saddles, sharing stories that mended fences between worlds. Ridge's hands, once teachers of rein and rope, now traced vows on my skin, reminding me the greatest rides aren't to Medthery chosen. And in his arms, under endless sky, I learned the truest lesson: love, wild and unbridled, sets you free. The wedding was small, raw as the wind off the bighorns, held in the barn, strung with lanterns that flickered like fireflies against the rafters. Jed stood as best man, gruff but teary, reciting vows he'd scribbled on a napkin through stampedes and storms. You too hold the line. I wore a white button-down rolled to elbows, jeans faded from rides. Carter Hayes no longer fleeing, but claiming. Ridge. In his best Stetson and vest. Eyes locked on mine as we exchanged rings, simple bands etched with horses in mid-gallop. With this, I lasso my heart to yours, he said, voice cracking just enough to twist mine. The kiss tasted of hay and forever. Cheers erupting from hands who'd become family. Their acceptance a quiet revolution in a town slow to change. But peace, like calm before thunder, hid brewing clouds. My resignation from the Chicago firm echoed back with barbed emails from ex-colleagues laced with concern over my impulsive life change. Code for the photos Jed posted online, 2 men. Rings glinting. Under rainbow-streaked skies. Then came the letters. Anonymous and venomous. Slipped under the cabin door, Sodom's cowboys ruining Harlan blood. Ridge burned them in the hearth. Jaw set like granite. But I saw the flinch. The old wounds reopening. It's nothing, he'd mutter, pulling me close at night. His body a shield. Yet sleep evaded me, haunted by visions of his brother's crash tires screeching on icy roads. Slurs hurled from passing trucks. A life snuffed for daring to love openly. We pushed forward, turning the ranch into a beacon. I handled the books, modernizing with apps for bookings, while Ridge led trails for LGBTQ plus youth escaping urban cages, teaching them the land's unjudging embrace. One kid, Alex, 16 and wide-eyed from Seattle, arrived trembling, backpack clutched like armor. Heard you two made it work, he whispered on his first ride. Ridge clapped his shoulder. Gentle. We fight for it, son. Every damn day. Watching them bond Ridge's patience, uncoiling fears like tangled ropes filled me with fierce pride. But also terror. What if the hate reached them? Nights, I'd wake to Ridge's restless turning. His murmurs of stay safe. Brother in dreams. The cousin. Harlan's shadow from Denver's slick-suited Vance with oil money eyes struck next. He filed the contest, claiming Ridge's immoral conduct invalidated the will. Dredging affidavits from busybody neighbors. Court in Cheyenne loomed. A 2-day drive through blizzards that mirrored the chill in my gut. We loaded the truck with snow chains and resolve. But en route, fate threw a curve. Black ice on the pass. Truck fishtailing into a spin. Metal screamed. Glass shattered. And we slammed into the guardrail. Hearts pounding louder than the engine's death rattle. Dazed. Blood trickling from Ridge's brow. I clawed for his hand. We're okay, I gasped. But his eyes were distant. Flashing back to that night 20 years gone. Not again, he whispered, clutching me like driftwood. Rescue came slow-tow truck and troopers, but in that wreckage, we rebuilt, me vowing to fight dirtier. Him admitting the fear that chained him. Back home, the trial prep became our battlefield. I pored over documents by lamplight, uncovering Vance's own skeleton's embezzlement whispers. A mistress tucked in motels. Leverage, I told Ridge, kissing his knuckles bruised from chopping wood to vent rage. He pulled me onto his lap, hands roaming with urgent need. You're my leverage, Carter. Always. Our lovemaking that night was fierce, reclaiming bodies slick, breaths mingling in cries that drowned doubt. Victory came narrow, judge dismissing the claim for lack of evidence. Vance slinking off with tail tucked. But the wind tasted bittersweet. A protest brewed in town. Pickets at the ranch gate chanting slurs. Eggs splattering our sign. Harlan Haven, all welcome. Ridge wanted to hunker down, but I couldn't, not after Alex confided his own scars. Bruises from a father's belt. We show them, I urged. Planning a pride ride, rainbow ribbons on reins. A parade through Main Street. He relented, eyes shining with that dimpled grin. Dawn of the day. We saddled up 20 strong. Kids and kin. Flags fluttering defiant. The crowd parted. Murmurs turning to claps from unlikely allies. The diner owner who'd baked our cake. The vet who'd stitched us. As we crested the square, Ridge reined beside me, hand finding mine atop the saddle horn. Love you, city boy. And I you, cowboy. The cheers swelled. A tide turning, proving love's lasso could gather even the wary. Yet scars linger, like fence wire under skin. Winter's now. We curl by the fire, planning expansion sub-bunkhouse for retreats. Stories shared under stars. Alex visits summers. Blooming bold. A testament to ripples we cast. And in quiet moments, Ridge's hands those teachers of touch trace my ring. Reminding, lessons aren't learned once, but lived. In Wyoming's wild heart, we've forged a legacy not of blood, but bond proving that in surrender, we rise unbroken. Spring thawed the ground, but not the undercurrents of unease. Vance's retreat left echoes subtle sabotages, cut fences releasing calves into gullies. Anonymous calls to suppliers canceling feed orders. Ridge bore it stoic. Dawn patrols his vigil. But I saw the toll, hollow cheeks. Nights pacing the porch with whiskey in hand. It's over, I'd soothe, drawing him back to bed. Our bodies intertwining like vines seeking sun. Yet doubt whispered, was our haven built on sand? One morning, scouting the north pasture, we found the creek dammed with debris deliberate, flooding acres of hay. Son of a bitch, Ridge growled, wading in to clear it, water churning knee-high. I joined, mud sucking at boots. But as we tugged a felled log, the bank gave way, tumbling us into the torrent. The current seized us, cold and merciless, dragging toward rapids foaming white. I thrashed, glimpsing Ridge ahead, his hat lost, hair plastered dark. Grab on, he yelled, lunging for my arm amid boulders slick as betrayal. We snagged a branch overhanging, gasping, limbs entangled in the roar. Hold me, I pleaded, fear stripping me bare. His grip tightened, eyes fierce. Always. Rescue was a Herculean haul by ranch hands roped together, pulling us dripping to shore, shivering under blankets by the fire. That brush with oblivion bonded us, deeper vows renewed in hushed tones. Hands exploring with reverent hunger, celebrating pulse and breath. Emboldened, we hosted the first retreat, 10 souls from coasts and heartlands. Queer wanderers seeking solace in stirrups. Mornings dawned with coffee and confessions around the corral. Afternoons rides through canyons echoing with laughter long suppressed. One woman, Mia, 42 and newly out after divorce, confessed over Esmores, seeing you too. It's permission. Ridge blushed under my teasing nudge, but his arm around my waist spoke volumes. Evenings, we'd steal away to the hayloft, making love slow under moonbeams slanting through cracks. His whispers of mine, a balm to old wounds. Trouble resurfaced in summer's heat. A heat wave wilting pastures and tempers. A fire sparked arson suspected. Flames licking the old barn where we'd first kissed. Sirens wailed as we beat back the blaze with hoses and desperation. Soot blackening lungs. In the aftermath, ashes sifted like regrets. Vance's name scrawled in the sheriff's report as a person of interest. Confrontation came unbidden. He showed at the gate. Face twisted in false contrition. Family business. He sneered. But Ridge stepped forward. Unyielding. Family's what we make. Not blood. Leave. Or face the law proper. Vance spat. But backed down. Truck kicking gravel. That night, victory tasted of beer and bodies pressed close. My lips mapping his scars. Affirming, we'd weather any blaze. Fall brought harvest and healing. Combines humming golden fields. Alex returned. Taller now. Bringing a boyfriend shy as spring foals. We watched them ride tandem. Hands linked. Mirroring our own youth's tentative grasps. You gave us this, Alex said, hugging fierce. Pride swelled. But so did Resolvito codify our legacy. We drafted a trust. Ranch deeded to a foundation for queer youth. Ensuring flames couldn't claim it. Winters whispered of more, adoptions murmured. A crib in the cabin's corner. Through it all, Ridge's hands remained my compass guiding reins by day, caressing secrets by night. In their calloused grace, I learned endurance as poetry, love not as conquest, but communion. Wyoming's winds may howl, but in his hold, I stand steadfast. Story unfolding page by untamed page. As leaves turned crimson, so did our ambitions, painting the ranch in hues of possibility. The foundation launched with a gala under tinted stars. Donors mingling with hands and boots polished for once. I emceed. Voice steady despite nerves. Toasting to trails blazed. Not trod. Ridge's pride beamed from the shadows. His nod my anchor. Mia bid high on a silent auction horse painting. Her check funding the first scholarship. But joy shadowed when news hit, a donor pulled out. Citing family values misalignment. Code for us. Whispers rippled. But we pressed on. Turning loss to less and diversifying funds. Courting allies in unexpected quarters, a queer philanthropist from L. A. Drawn by our grit. Daily life wove wonder amid worry. Mornings. I'd wake to Ridge's coffee. Black and strong. His kiss lingering like dew. We'd ride boundaries. Checking herds. His stories of Pa's tall tales stitching past to present. One dusk. Pausing at the creek now bridged with our sweat we dismounted. Wading ankle deep. Remember the flood. He mused. Fingers interlacing mine underwater. Cool silk. I pulled him close. Water lapping. How could I forget? You saved me. His laugh rumbled. We saved each other. Lips met soft. Then urgent. Clothes discarded on bank grass. Bodies joining in nature's cradle's low thrusts sinking with river song. Release a shared sigh into twilight. Challenges crested like waves. Winter storms buried roads. Isolating us. But also intimating, power out. We huddled by generator glow. Playing cards by candle. Confessions flowing freer than meltwater. I was scared of this you. Ridge admitted. Dealing hearts. Thought loved break me again. I covered his hand. It mends. Cowboy. Watch. Spring unearthed sabotage anew, poison troughs. Calves sickening. Vet bills mounted. But tests traced toxins to Vance's supplier ties. Sheriff hauled him in. Cuffs clicking like finality. Court this time was ours, testimony from hands. Evidence ironclad. Verdict, guilty. Sentence a year plus restitution. As he glared from the dock, Ridge squeezed my thigh under the bench. End of an era. Summer swelled with students. The retreat bursting at seams. Alex counseled newbies. His poise a mirror to our influence. One evening bonfire. Stories circled, losses. Triumphs. Loves reclaimed. A trans teen. Jordan. Shared scars from conversion camps. Voice breaking. Ridge knelt. Eye level. Those liars don't own your truth. Write it out here. Free. Tears flowed communal. Healing like rain on parched earth. That night, Ridge and I walked the dark path home. Arms linked. You're magic, I whispered. He stopped, backing me against oak bark rough kind. We're magic. Hands roamed. Unbuttoning slow. Moon witnessing our union passionate. Affirming. Cries muffled in kisses. Fall's equinox marked our first anniversary. Celebrated with a private ride to the hill where he'd proposed. Picnic unpacked, steaks grilled over portable fire. Wine from California kin. As sun dipped, he knelt again. Not with ring but poems scratched on hide, verses of hands entwined. Lessons learned in touch. To more? He toasted. Clinking bottles. We made love there. Blanket soft under emerging stars. Bodies a symphony of gratitude, gentle caresses building to crescendo. Afterglow whispers of dreams, fostering. Expanding. Enduring. Through seasons turn. Ridge's hands taught volumes unspoken, resilience in their grip. Tenderness in their trace. Our story, etched in earth and heart, whispers to all who wander, love's the ultimate saddle. Born not alone, but shared wild. Willing. Holy hours. Winter's grip loosened grudgingly, yielding to March mud that sucked boots and soles alike. The Foundation's inaugural foster program launched tentative. 3 teens placed. Rooms converted in the bunkhouse with bunks and books. Our first. Siblings Lila and Theo, 12 and 10, arrived wide-eyed from foster chaos in Denver. Suitcases clutched like lifelines. Horses. Lila squeaked, peeking from behind Theo. Ridge crouched, grinned disarming. More than that, home. I watched, heart full, as he led them to the corral. Tiny hands in his. First lessons in brushing coats soft as secrets. Nights. They'd tiptoe to our cabin. Questions tumbling. Why do you hold hands? We'd answer honest. Modeling normalcy in a world too often cruel. But integration jarred like green-breaking colts. Theo wet the bed first night. Shame flooding his eyes. Lila snapped at chores. Anger a shield for fear. Counseling sessions via video stretched us thin. But Ridge's patience prevailed, bedtime stories of ranch legends. His voice a lullaby weaving trust. One storm-lashed evening. Thunder rattling windows. They piled into our bed. Burrow small. Safe here, Ridge murmured, arm over all three. I traced his profile in dark, marveling, this man, once walled, now open as prairie sky. External tempests brewed too. Local paper ran a hit piece, Harlan Haven, Indoctrination or Innovation. Fueled by Vance's prison letters. Venom inked. Protests swelled at gates. Crosses burning low but ominous. Sheriff increased patrols. But fear fermented, a slashed tire on the school bus route. Whispers targeting the kids. We fight smart. I urged in strategy huddles with board members. Fortifying with cameras. Community outreach. Ridge nodded. But his hands clenched. Knuckles white. Can't lose them like I lost him. That night, tension snapped electric, argument flaring over risks. Words sharp as barbed wire. You're pushing too hard. He barked. And you're pulling back. I retorted. Silence fell heavy. Then he crossed the room, crushing me to him. Forgive me. Lips crashed. Apology in every gasp. Bodies colliding desperate on rug-worn floor, fury transmuting to fire. Release a truce sealed in sweat. Spring bloomed defiant. Calves dropping under watchful eyes. The kids thawed. Lila galloped Willow bareback. Whoops echoing. Theo named a foal thunderclap. Mending his storms. Retreats resumed hybrid. Virtual faces beaming into bonfires. Global threads weaving our web. Alex eloped nearby, inviting us as witnesses, his vows echoing ours. Cycle complete. You started this. He grinned. Hugging. Pride choked me. Ridge's arm tightened. Unspoken thanks. Summer scorched records. But so did successes, grants flowing for expansion. A second bunkhouse rising frame by frame. Yet sabotage shadowed, a firebomb fizzled at the fence. Culprit a fringe local caught red-handed. Trial swift. Sentence community service ironic penance mucking stalls under our gaze. Redemption's possible. Ridge told him quiet. Extending hand. The man took it. Eyes downcast. First crack in hate's armor. Fall harvested abundance. Festival on grounds. Locals trickling and curious. Tasting pies and prejudices melting. Jordan returned as counselor. Voice steady sharing stages. One night. Post-crowd. Ridge and I collapsed on porch swing. Exhaustion sweet. We did it. I sighed. Head on his shoulder. His fingers comb my hair. We do it. Daily. Kiss deep and lazy. Hands wandering under stars' intimate dance of lovers long partnered. Reaffirming in touch's language. Through trials forge. Ridge's hands evolved teachers anew, to children. Gentle guides. To foes. Olive branches. To me. Eternal flame. Our narrative. Layered as canyon stone. Testifies. Love builds bridges over chasms. Hands linked defying dark enduring. Evolving. Eternally entwined. As autumn waned. Winter's prelude nipped heels. Frosting windows with fern patterns. The kids settled deeper. Lila sketching horses in margins of homework. Theo collecting arrowheads from creek beds. Unearthing history like buried joys. Family dinners became ritual, Ridge's chili steaming. Stories swapped over cornbread crumbling. Tell the one about the ghostwriter. Theo begged. I stars. Ridge spun yarns embellished. his drawl hypnotic, drawing laughs that healed hidden hurts. I'd catch Lila's gaze. Soft now. Gratitude unspoken. Bedtime's blurred boundaries. Often, we'd all pile in front of the fire, limbs tangled in innocent trust. Ridge's hand finding mine across the sprawl, a quiet anchor in chaos chosen. But fractures fissured. A social worker's visit loomed. Evaluations probing our suitability as queer guardians in conservative Wyoming. Papers piled, psych evals. Home studies. Interviews laced with veiled barbs. How will you handle bullying? The caseworker asked. Pen poised. Ridge leaned forward. Steady. With truth and tribe. These kids learn here, love wins wars. I backed him. Detailing programs. But doubt gnawed post-departure. What if they take them? I whispered that night. Vulnerability raw. He rolled atop me. Eyes fierce. They won't. We're iron. Lovemaking followed urgent. Claiming his body over mine a vow. Thrusts deep and deliberate. Cries mingling with winds howl outside. Afterglow of fortress rebuilt. Spring surged with verdant force. Mirroring resolve. Evaluations passed. Kids' placement formalized papers signed in courthouse hush. Our signatures binding forever. Lila hugged fierce. Family. Always. I choked. Theo high-fived Ridge. Best cowboys ever. Retreats innovated. Equine therapy sessions for trauma. Horses as mirrors to mended souls. Mia facilitated. Her divorce dust settled. Now radiant. One session. A vet from Gulf Wars shared shrapnel scars. His horse. Sensing. Nuzzled gentle. First trust in years. He rasped. Ridge clapped back. Horses know. So do we. Summer Solstice hosted a unity ride, allies from town joining. Rainbow sashes fluttering on 100 mounts snaking through valleys. Media buzzed national spots on CNN. Wyoming's queer cowboys, love on the range. Backlash bit, death threats scrawled on walls. But security tightened. Community watches forming. A brick through our window one dawn shattered glass and complacency. Shards glittered like warnings. Sheriff investigated. Linking to a hate group splinter. Stay vigilant. He advised. Ridge boarded it up. Hammer strikes therapy. That evening, tensions simmered to steam in the shower, water cascading. Hands soaping slow. Mouths exploring sudsy skin passion purging fear. Release hot and cathartic against tiles. Fall's harvest moon gilded fields. Yields bountiful despite droughts elsewhere. Foundation gala expanded. Tent sprawling. Celebrities rubbing elbows with ranch roughnecks. Jordan emceed. Poise polished. Alex DJ'd sets pulsing with anthems. Bids soared for experiences. Sunrise ride with the Harlans. Post-event. Cleanup camaraderie flowed beer loose. Locals admitting. Y'all changed my mind. 1. The paper's editor. Apologized sheepish for the hit piece. Ignorance. He shrugged. Ridge extended hand. Lesson learned. Join the ride. Winter wrapped us cozy. Holidays handmade. Ornaments from kids' crafts dangling tree. Feasts echoing laughter. New Year's Eve. Bonfire roared. Resolutions whispered. More of this. Ridge toasted. pulling me for midnight kiss amid cheers. Snow fell soft, blanketing world anew. In bed later, hands wandered festive playful nips turning tender. Bodies arching in winter's hush. Climax a sparkler burst. Sleep spoon deep. Across cycles, Ridge's hands narrated our epic, cradling young dreams. Steadying storms. Igniting nights. Our chronicle, vivid as vaulted skies, proclaims, love's hands heal divides. Forging family from fragments resilient. Radiant. Relentlessly real. Spring's thaw unveiled ambitions afresh. Mud yielding to wildflowers nodding hello. The second bunkhouse ribbon cut. Rooms christened with plaques, Alex Wing. Jordan Hall. Intake swelled 5 more Fosters. A mosaic of stories, runaways. Refugees. Resilient sparks. Our cabin brimmed chaos joyful, breakfasts tag team. School runs in the truck. Evenings corral-side cheers for first trots. Lila mentored a shy girl. Braiding manies together. Theo built forts from hay bales. Nights in denim. Ridge thrived paternal. Bedtime tucks his ritual. Stories evolving with their input heroes queer and queerer. Villains toppled by teamwork. Yet growth strained seems. Funding dipped with economy's dip. Grants drying like creeks in July. I hustled pitches. Zoom calls till eyes blurred. While Ridge shouldered physical load fences mended solo. Exhaustion etching lines. Delegate. I'd urge. Massaging knots from shoulders broad. Can't. He'd grumble. Turning to claim my mouth. Distraction delicious. Nights blurred to need, his hands pinning wrists playful. Bodies grinding fervent on kitchen table dishes rattling. Gasps echoing. Release a pressure valve hissing sweet. External gales gathered. A state bill snaked through legislature curtailing alternative adoptions. Spotlights on ranches like ours. Petitions flew. Allies mobilizing, national orgs. Local libs linking arms. We testified in Cheyenne. Kids' faces scrubbed from records, but spirits bold. This place saved us. Lila read prepared. Voice quaver conquering. Ridge followed. Raw. Family ain't defined by ink or inclination, it's heart. Applause thundered. Bill stalled. Victory pyrrhic but potent. Back home. Celebration spontaneous, bonfire leaping. Dances clumsy. Toasts to tenacity. Whiskey warm. Ridge tugged me to shadows. Tree-backed tryst, skirts of bark rough. His touch silk fingers delving. Lips sealing moans. Ecstasy under canopy's hush. Summer sizzled with interns, college kids studying AG and allyship. Bunking communal. Workshops wove, diversity rides. Where stories swapped mid-gallop. One intern. Non-binary Kai. Bonded with Theo over puzzles. Identities intersecting. You're brave. Kai told him. Theo beamed. Learn from the best. Retreats peaked. Full houses healing 100 hertz. A corporate exec. Closeted exec. Broke mid-session, watched you tits possible. Ridge's hug paternal. It is. Start here. Fall frosted ambitions fruitful. Harvest festivals fundraised records. Locals outnumbering skeptics. A rival rancher. Once foe. Donated silos conversion won. Jordan's book deal announced. Saddles and souls. Our tales anonymized, but true. Pride swelled vicarious. Winter's hush-harbored hurdles, flu-swept bunks. Quarantines confining. We rotated nursemaids. Ridge brewing broths. Me reading fever dream tales. One night. All Abed sick. He and I alone in kitchen. Steam rising from mugs. Grateful. I murmured. Leaning. His kiss spiced ginger. Ditto. Hands slipped under layers. Counterperched intimacy slow grinds. Whispers wicked. Climax quiet as snowfall. Cocooned in care. Through tempests tamed. Ridge's hands scripted sagas, nurturing novices. Navigating knots. Nurturing nights aflame. Our odyssey. Textured as topsoil turned. Affirms, love's grip gathers graces. Hands clasped conquering cold's vibrant. Victorious. Vividly vowed. As spring spiraled sunward. Our haven hummed harmony honed. Bunkhouses bustled. Foster's flourishing, Lila leading junior riders. Theo tinkering truck engines with Jed's gruff guidance. The foundation flowered formal board expanded. Bylaws binding our vision eternal. I helmed admin. Spreadsheets syncing dreams to dollars. Ridge roved ranges. His silhouette iconic against horizons. Mornings merged meditative, coffee on porch. His arms slung casual. Planning laced with lingering kisses promises punctuating practicals. Challenges chiseled character. A Foster. Marcus. 16 and stormy from streets. Tested bounds, snuck smokes. Skipped sessions. Anger armoring abandonment. Confrontations crackled, you don't get it. He yelled. Fist through drywall. Ridge sat him down barn dim. Voice velvet over steel. I do. Lost my brother to that rage. Choose different. Marcus crumbled. Sobs seismic. We held space. Therapy threading trust. Weeks wove wary to warm his first solo ride. Grin cracking clouds. Thanks. Dads. Slip casual. Gut punching profound. Summer summit strides. National conference invite. Us keynoting frontiers of family. Denver stage spotlit. Slides of sunsets and smiles. Words weaving woes to wonders. Q&A queried queer parenting pitfalls. I fielded frank. It's messy. Marvelous mirrors any. Applause affirmed. Networks netted. Returning recharged. Back. Interns integrated seamless. Kai co-crafting curriculum, hands-on hearts. Tactile trust building. One demo. Ridge blindfolded. Guided by Marcus's voice vulnerability visceral. Bonds braced. Fall's palette peaked philanthropy, auction extravaganza. Celeb cameos auctioning adventures. Bids boomed for VIP week with the Cowboys us. Unscripted. Mia matched a donor. Her nonprofit partnering. Jordan's launch packed house. Signings snaking. Dedications dripping to hands that healed. Post-party. Exhaustion euphoric. Ridge and I haylofted, ladders creaking. Bodies buoyant explorations expansive. Laughter lacing lust. Peaks plural under rafters embrace. Winter whispered wisdom's one. Holidays haloed, tree trimming tinsel tangled. Kids chaos cherished. New Year's dawned deliberate, resolutions round robin. Hours entwined, grow together. Snow sculpted sculptures silly. Sleds careening corral close. Flu faded. Fortitude forged. One eve. Aurora rare rippled skies greens and purple's pulsing promise. We bundled outer. Kids ogling. Ridge's arm encircling all. Magic. Lila breathed. Us. He corrected soft. Later. Aurora afterglow. Bed beckoned. Hands him singing skins scripture devout. Dynamic. Devotion distilled in dawn's hush. In tapestries weave. Ridges hands him heroes, hailing youth's horizons. Harmonizing hardships. Hallowing hearths. Our ballad. Bold as butte silhouettes. Broadcasts, love's clasp crafts constellations. Hands held heralding hope luminous. Lasting. Lovingly lived.